morning. Morning. Glorious morning.
Yes.
Today is Easter Sunday, and it's commonly known as Doubting Thomas Sunday. Anne spoke about this in her sermon last week, that wonderful Easter sermon, in which she spoke about doubt. That all of us have doubt sometimes. And many of us in our lives, as we encounter difficulties, may have doubted God's presence or even God's existence. It's sort of the human nature when we go through difficult times. Sometimes it's hard to see God's light and love or to feel it. Today's gospel is about Thomas's doubt. Thomas is an interesting character. He's mentioned 3 times in John. Once when Jesus says, "I'm going back to raise Lazarus from the dead." And the disciples say, "Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're going to be killed. People have threatened you when you've been there." And Thomas says, "Well, let's go then and die with him." Pretty brave. Then the second time is when Jesus is trying to tell the disciples what's going to happen after he dies and is resurrected and ascends to be with God, the Father. And he's trying to tell them. And Thomas says, "But Lord, we don't know the way. How would we know?" Pretty brave to ask. All the other disciples were being quiet. And Jesus said, "I am the truth and the light and the way." And that is when that famous quote is delivered. So today is Thomas's 3rd appearance. Now, Thomas isn't so different from the other disciples. I mean, after all, Mary Magdalene saw Jesus first, and she went to tell everyone. Did they believe her? Apparently not. Because there they are sitting behind closed doors, afraid of the Jewish authorities. So Thomas is very similar to all the other disciples who needed to see Jesus and see his presence. So his doubt is not unusual. His doubt was commonly shared. Now, there are 4 post-resurrection appearances in John. The first one, Mary Magdalene, is commissioned as a disciple to go and tell. The second one to Mary Magdalene. And these last 2 that we have right here in this gospel today. So Jesus appears to the disciples in the first part of this gospel. And Thomas isn't there. And then Thomas is there in the second part, where Jesus says, "You have believed because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe who have not seen me." Of course, that includes all of us, right? So Thomas's doubt, for me at least, is both reassuring and uncomfortable. Reassuring because I've had doubt in my life. I've had times when I wondered, is God's presence really surrounding me with love and light? It's sort of easier to feel that in times when times are good, but it's much harder to feel that when times are bad, and we all have bad times. And it's uncomfortable because we're talking about doubting God's existence. I mean, I don't feel comfortable doing that. That feels like a sort of a betrayal, certainly a betrayal of my ordination vows. But all those doubts creep in every now and then. But doubt can serve a purpose, I think. I think it can help us to have a stronger faith. When we challenge our beliefs and really think about it, we really become more sure of what we believe for the right reasons. We just don't do a knee-jerk response and say, "I believe." One example that comes to my mind is when I was talking to an Israeli student over a course of a number of weeks and months when I was in college. He was criticizing the United States. And this tells you when I went to college, because he was criticizing our involvement in the Vietnam War. And I didn't like the war, but I loved America, but I wasn't sure why. And it wasn't until he challenged me over and over again about Why did I love it? What about this? What about that? That I really came to understand why I love America. And I think it's the same for our faith. Sometimes we just need to challenge what we believe. When I was in this process, going through ordination process, the first book we read was The Meaning of Jesus. That was an unbelievable book, and it stays with me today. Ford and Wright, two renowned Christian theologians, discuss back and forth the various aspects of Christianity. They even discuss the virgin birth and resurrection. What? But they're two well-known Christian theologians. So what that tells me is that doubt, even among the scholars, is acceptable. Certainly Jesus met the disciples where they were. When they were scared and unsure, he didn't say, "Oh, you shouldn't doubt." And he didn't say that to Thomas. He never judged Thomas when Thomas said, "I need to see the sword pierce and the wounds in your hands." He didn't judge him. He understood, and I think it's probably because Jesus was human and understood our human doubt sometimes. He understood, he felt it himself in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he felt it on the cross. Doubt can be very helpful. After all, on this day of alternative facts and fake news, we need to be doubtful sometimes. We need to be skeptical. So it can serve a good purpose. I mean, when you think about the Comet Pizza in Washington, D.C., when the fake news was going around that Hillary Clinton was running a sex abuse ring from the back of the pizza parlor? What? and someone went in and shot some employees and patrons? Doubt can really be good, and I think Jesus understood that. I think Jesus knew that, and he welcomed it. In fact, I think that Jesus really didn't care if we doubted. I think Jesus welcomed that doubt because it shows that we are exploring our faith, digging deeper, really delving into it. So what did Jesus care about? Because he certainly never had a checklist when he went to heal someone. When he healed someone or raised Lazarus from the dead or saved the thief on the cross, did he say, wait a minute, I have to go through this checklist. Do you believe in the virgin birth? Do you believe that I raised him? I never saw a time when Jesus said, I can't love you because you don't believe in the virgin birth. So what that does for me is it frees me from all of those thoughts I had before about, well, to be a Christian, I have to think X, Y, and Z. But Jesus didn't care about that. Jesus loves us anyway. And what did Jesus care about? He cared about love. Love. He cared about whether we love God and we love others as ourselves, period. And he wants us to take that out into the community, to share it with others. He doesn't care if you believe in one aspect or another of Christianity. So let's keep that in mind in this joyful Easter season as we celebrate God's glory and God's love. Amen.